Ladies and gentlemen, Dawn of the Rooster, Tanya Radwa, Tawanga. And with me, they take it away.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to this, I'm not going to call it a performance, but rather a ritual of remembrance. So what you're going to hear today are the stories of my family during the Zimbabwe liberation struggle of 1965 to 1980, and in some ways, to the present. So I'm going to ask you all to be a part of this, not just spectators, but a part of it. So I'm going to teach you some things, and then as we go through the program, I'm going to ask you to do them, okay? The first thing is I would like you all to say, Pamberi.
Pamberi.
Good, one more time, Pamberi.
Pamberi.
That means forward. It means forward. And so when a lot of the political leaders, the freedom fighters would start their rallies, they would start with a Pamberi, and then everyone will answer, Pamberi. Exactly, so. Pamberi!
Pamberi.
Pamberi!
Pamberi.
Pamberi!
Pamberi.
Yeah, okay, that was like 50%. Give it some feeling, one more time. Pamberi!
Pamberi.
Yes. And then as we go on, I may ask you to clap in certain places. I may ask you to snap your fingers. Okay, so just be ready, be vulnerable, and be empathetic. Right? That's what this performance practice is. It's a practice of empathy. I'm so excited to have my colleagues here, my Sekuru Mofu here, reading these stories. It means so much to hear from, UCSB students as well. It's so powerful to hear them tell these stories. So I hope you all just enjoy this. I hope you feel something, and it's my pleasure to share these stories with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Oh
first 21 years of my life was lived in the Denver region. Growing up was bittersweet. Bitter because we lived under the repressive white-settler regime of Ian Smith. Schools, hospitals, residential areas, and farming areas were segregated. The natives, as they called us, were disenfranchised into second-class citizens. It was a regime of infantilization. They called our father's boy and our mother's girl. But I'm a daughter of the struggle, Chimurenga. I wish to pay homage to my ancestors for fighting the European settlers in the first Chimurenga of 1893-96. We can only imagine sitting here the pain and anguish of being stripped of your land and your identity. But their strength and courage live in our DNA, and this is why we're here today. And we have the task of telling our own stories of Zimbabwe and Africa. My parents were shock absorbers in those formative years. They and our great-parents before them wanted us to be educated and sacrificed a little so that our brothers and sisters and us, their children, would have a good education and could have a chance for a better life in the future. So our father, Philip Mbofana, father of 8, would take us to the airport to see the airplanes take off and land. Not saying much, but planting the dream he had for us to aspire to travel the world and to keep on learning. He managed to send 2 of my sisters to England in the 60s to train as nurses. In his quiet way, he was saying to us, "You are not different from the whites. You can also do this.
Wait, I need to snap so you can give me. Vamos fazer isso, apanhar, apanhar, nem embora assim, apanhar, apanhar. Vamos fazer isso, apanhar, apanhar, nem embora assim, apanhar, apanhar. Apanhar, 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 nem embora assim, apanhar, apanhar. Apanhar, 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 nem embora assim, apanhar, apanhar. Assim mesmo, corre, muita wanna see, muita wanna say, goes about, pacha, pacha. Dicha penya penya, esimina korei. Mucha wanna see, mucha wanna say, goes about, pacha, pacha. Dicha penya penya.
I was born and brought up in Mount Daring district of Zimbabwe. Like most African families in Zimbabwe, I was born of a poor family. Being an African woman, I suffered so much, both from class racial exploitation and the wretched feudal idea of male supremacy, that I grew up to resent sharply the society I found myself in. At home, freedom of social movement was more easily accorded to my brothers than to me and my older and younger sisters. I somehow disliked the notion that hard work and initiative were associated with men in the society. Women are taken to be fragile and shy, and anyone who does not conform with this characterization was taken to be unfeminine and unrespectable. After finishing school, I was more disappointed in my life and in my society, because even with my successful school results, I couldn't find a job. I had a hoard of school certificates, but what would these papers give me? In my search for employment, I was met with great disillusionment.
days at the university were the days I started becoming politically conscious that I'm black but I'm losing out in my own country for Christ's sake. There were no more than 20 Africans at the time at the university, but we had an African Students Association. We will stay up for hours discussing Rhodesian Prime Minister Ian Smith's unilateral Declaration of Independence. And I remember on the day of graduation, Ian Smith was capping the white graduates. When he started capping, we started to sing Ishe Komborera Africa, that great Pan-African national anthem which was banned at the time. Smith stopped the capping ceremony and said in Afrikaans, "Baboon climbed the tree," pointing to where we were. We were chased from there. And he said, "You are uncouth, uncivilized, leave." But he knew he was unwanted there.
Smita caramba, oye, smita caramba, jode gidi smita caramba, oye, smita caramba, jode gidi. Good. Teach you something. Okay? So let's start it again. I want you to go, everyone go, ish, ish. Yes, one more time. Ish, ish. So when I go, smita caramba, so you're gonna do it. Smita caramba, boya boya, smita caramba, onde gidi 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 smita caramba, boya boya, smita caramba. We're supposed to have an intermission right here, but I feel the spirit. I think we're gonna keep on going. You all feel good? Yes. Let's keep rolling. Can you guys give this guy a round of applause? We met yesterday. Like he has lived with this music and loved it like it was his own, and I'm just so grateful to him. So give him love, give him love. My grandmother used to direct the Highfield Methodist Church choirs. Highfield, as we know, was one of the hubs of the liberation struggle. This is where my grandfather, George Tawengwa, built Mshandra Pamwe Hotel in 1972. This hotel served as a safe location for hidden meetings held by freedom fighters. And it was also the site of subversive, beautiful music sung by artists such as Oliver Tukum Tukuzi, Mankwasha, Thomas Mkanya Mapfumo, and many others. Africans hid revolutionary songs safely in the hymn book. but their censorship was nullified in the church, where all hymns were granted political amnesty. This anthem is hymn 260 in the Methodist hymn book. My grandfather was a preacher, and my grandmother sang in the choir. One Sunday, he preached a sermon about oppressed people storming the walls of Jericho with trumpets and horns, felling them thus. My grandfather gathered the congregation and they marched 7 times around the church block, and they were singing Ishe Komborera Africa. If you are able, please rise and join me as we sing this liberation anthem, Ishe Komborera Africa. God bless Africa. Ishe Komborera Africa, Gaisi Putima Sitanayo, is dark, its fate is unknowable. This is a proverb that my mother and father used to tell me all the time. Another one they used to tell me was, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter until the lioness learns to write. I am a lioness. In the summer of 2012, I traveled home to Zimbabwe for the break. I was a sophomore at the time, and my brother Itai had just died. My brother's death shook me. I was in the music department at Princeton University, practicing for my debut as Lady Billows in Benjamin Britten's Albertarian, when the phone rang. My sister fought back tears and simply said, "He's gone." I went home because I felt a huge chasm between myself, an international student in the US, and my family in Zimbabwe. I wanted to make sure that if anyone else were to die while I was away, I would at least know their story. I didn't know my brother's story. I began with a question. What was life like for you when you were my age? The responses astounded me. Everyone began with the same response. We were at war. Ziva pawakabva, paunoenda usiku. Know where you come from, for the path ahead is dark. As I listened to my family tell stories of loss, grief, death, violence, and hope, I realized that until I learned these stories, I would never know myself. Before these stories, I was living a half-life, a life in which my idea of myself was informed by the colonial education whose mission was to separate me as far as possible from myself. As I listened, I began to see myself. I saw myself in my uncle running away from Rhodesian forces. I saw myself in my aunt joining the war at the age of 15. I saw myself in my mother walking into Barclays Bank as the first black woman to ever work in that space. A feeling I feel with every opera company debut. I see myself in my people. We are bound